Hey y'all, welcome back to all my subscribers and welcome to all you new viewers and happy holidays. Hey Alex, how's it going?
Going great. I'm here, waiting on you, waiting to get started.
All right, all right. Here we go. We're getting ready to get started. Okay. All right. You got that Christmas tree up yet?
No, I don't do trees.
Oh, you don't do trees? Okay.
There-
All right. All right.
there- there's a tree I do, but I don't put it up. I smoke it.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Too much information. All right, all right, all right. Okay, so wow, quite an episode last night, huh?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And
Quite an
I've been
episode.
getting stuff. I've been getting stuff through the grapevine. People they're like, I'm so over this season. They just so disgruntled about the season. So maybe we'll get into some of that. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe we'll say that toward the latter part of the discussion. But yeah, I've heard similar. I've heard similar.
Yeah.
I think part of that could be that there weren't any connections, but now we're starting to see some connections. So it should it's picking up to me. That's what I think. It's like I said, last night's episode I thought was really good.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
what do you want to start? What do you want to touch on first? Because there's
Yeah,
so much going on. You
there's so
know,
much going on. Okay, so I got my handy dandy list. I couldn't leave it to just my memory because there were a lot of scenes last night. Okay, so we're gonna start with Camille and Cornelia. So they opened up.
they what?
I don't know. Wait a minute. I'm sorry. I'm getting some feedback here. I'm
From
not
me or
sure.
from you?
I don't know. Just hold on, Alex. Hold on, please. C-
Well, I tell you, technology. Sometimes it's our friend, sometimes it's not. I guess it's moody, just like people are. All right, guys. While we're waiting for Aubery to actually come back, if you have any questions regarding last night's episode, please text them into the chat and let us hear what your thoughts are regarding the episode and what annoyed you the most and what your predictions may have been that have come to fruition because of course we've had some of our own and hi there Condessa, how are you?
okay, Alex, can you hear me now?
Yes, you fine, Aubrey.
Okay, great. Okay, so we're going to proceed. I found out what was going on, but we're going to proceed to talk about Camille and Cornelius. So last night we saw Camille finally tell Cornelius that the women had voted him off the show, that he was not, in fact, ready to love.
Right,
And with that, she decided to also eliminate herself.
which we predicted would happen. We said this last week. we
You
said if we said if Cornelius goes, there's no reason for Camille to stay or vice versa. We said that.
Right. Yeah. Well, you were more convinced. I'm going to be honest, and I said it last week. I really wasn't convinced that the show was going to allow Cornelius or Camille to leave, but apparently they did. So,
Well, they ran their course. They weren't engaged with other people. They were just there for creating tension. between Aisha or Sabrina or everybody but Zadia, because Zadia was riding Camille's coattail. So, but for everybody else, they were just creating drama. They were just there being a nuisance. They weren't serving any more purpose.
Absolutely. And I feel like, you know what, and I really don't like having to say this, but I honestly feel like whether it was manufactured or whether it was real, the thing that stood out in my mind last night and for the last several weeks is that Camille was the toxic person on the show. She was this season's toxic person. And by that, I mean anyone who got close to her, all the women, including, well, especially Zadia, it definitely pushed Zadia over the edge. And I think that we see a lot of Zadia's behavior, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. I think a lot of Zadia's crazy, aggressive, masculine behavior came from being pushed over the edge by Camille's toxicity.
And in Camille's own manipulative kind of sly way, it was also her way of keeping Zadia away from Cornelius. Because remember, Cornelius had said Zadia was on his list. The first time he was about to get booted off, he said to her, "You were on my list," and she said, "Was?" And he said, "Well, you're still there." So I think Camille got wind of that, and she decided to block that in her own manipulative, crazy way, and she did it.
Right, right. I mean, even you know what? If you think back, I was thinking there was something to, and I was saying this to a friend of mine. There was something to the whole effect that Zadia would even be in the car riding up to the resort with Camille and Cornelius. Like, why would she be a third wheel? That in itself was very odd. Don't you find that odd?
Was odd, but because I think she already knew that. I think she knew in the back of her mind her stay was just about up, because everybody else is in the car either with their potential mate or someone else or whatever, but nobody was playing a third wheel. She was playing a third wheel. So I think in the back of her mind, she probably knew her journey was up.
Right. Her time was up because she didn't seem to be, well, Naeem seemed to be there for for Zadia, but Zadia didn't seem to have the same passion and fire for him that she had for Dante.
Right, right. That's why she poked him in the nose, and we'll get into that later.
Yes, we will. Yes, we will. And
Yeah.
so just moving on. So in the next scene we see Shiloh and we see Phil still at the resort, because this is early in the episode. They're in the kitchen and the two of them are alone and they're having private intimate moments and they're talking and they're in the refrigerator and then they sit down and start to play this card game. Did you notice anything interesting about the connection with Phil and Shiloh, Alex?
Well, I think that, and Roslyn says, Zadia joined in Camille's toxicity. Yes, yes, she did. She was sucked right into that. But I think with Phil and Shiloh, I think that Shiloh took it upon herself at that point to really commit and let Phil know you're the one. Well, Phil
Yes.
did not take that step with her.
No, he did not. He did not.
He did not make it definitive. And I
No.
think that kind of threw her, took her aback a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
because she made it clear, you're my choice, blah blah. And he was like, yeah, I'm feeling that too, but not quite. And, he was kind of standoffish because he still has his eye on Sydney, of course. He's looking at
Mm-hmm.
Aisha. He might even be looking at Moomin. I'm not sure if he's looking at Moomin or not, but
I never
uh,
got that. I never got that from him, but could be. But I never saw or heard him mention her specifically. But I
right,
do see what you're saying about he does seem to still be attracted to Aisha, even though Aisha has definitively said that she doesn't want any more children. And Phil obviously, because he's talking to Shiloh in this scene about his one great regret in life is that his mother, who has now passed on and has transitioned, that he never was able to marry and give her grandchildren. And Here's something. I want you to tell me what you think about this. This is just, me in my head thinking. I feel like Shiloh, what has happened possibly in this whole dating experiment, I feel like Shiloh has played therapist to Phil. And I feel like that the interest that Phil may have had in her as a woman is now become more of a transference of a patient therapist, because if you notice, he said to her, he said, you have a way of asking questions, and sometimes it's a little annoying, but you're always able to get inside of what people are feeling and thinking. And I thought, uh-oh, red flag, red flag. What did you
Mhm.
think about that?
Well, isn't she a therapist? She's a therapist, right?
Yes, but are you following the point that I'm trying to make, that in the real world, if I'm in relationship with you, okay, I could be a therapist all day long, but if I'm in relationship with you as my friend, or even as my, more importantly, as my man, my mate, my potential life partner, I don't need to be your therapist. If you need a therapist, guess what? You need to find somebody else.
Well,
Okay, because those two relationships are very specific. And once you become someone's therapist, then all bets are off on the relationship part.
well, I get it. I understand exactly what you're saying. I was trying to finish my point when you chimed back in, but just
I'm
just
sorry.
just to, just to segue a little bit from that, Dr. Phil's wife, Robin,
Hmm.
they spoke about this, and she said that in their household, whenever he tries to do the therapist thing, she jumps
Hmm.
right on him and go, "Don't try to Dr. Phil me, buddy." You know,
And that's exactly what I'm saying. It doesn't
right?
work. You can't have an intimate relationship and a professional relationship at the same time. Those two don't work.
That don't work at all. I feel what you're saying. I kind of sense the same thing, which is probably why there's a little pullback from him from Shiloh, and I
Hmm.
think the fact that this baby thing is really sticking in his craw with his mother. That's a big thing, with men and their mothers. And
Hmm.
obviously, I can relate to losing your mother and things of that nature. I
Okay.
think that's something that he, even though his mom is gone now, I
Hmm.
still think he strongly wants to have children or a child, and may have a
Yeah.
daughter and name her after his mom. Because he feels very strongly about this.
Oh,
And
I hadn't thought of that. That's a good point. That's an
you know,
excellent point. Hmm.
yeah, and I think that he's if I don't think he's gonna lean towards someone who doesn't want to have children, which that's Aisha's position. I'm not sure if Shiloh has any children at all. I don't think she does. She's never mentioned it that I know of. We know Sydney doesn't have any. So he may be leaning in the direction of one of the women who don't have children, but he don't want to be mothered. And I think at this point, Shiloh's coming over as a mother figure and friend more so at this point. And you don't want to be in the friend zone. That's a place you don't want to be.
Right. And that's to my very point, is that when you start mothering over a man, when you start just doctoring him and trying to play therapist, that's not, that happens a lot also in relationships where a man is been widowed. You'll find that women will try to be his therapist, and that's the last thing you want to be. If he needs to talk about his late wife, he needs to do that with his friends or his therapist.
And yeah, no one was trying to mother Walter. Walter came on the show day one. I lost my wife. I'm a widow, but that was 15 years or so ago. It's a long time ago.
That's what
Um,
I was thinking. I was like,
yeah,
why are you even bringing that up, sir? I mean,
but
unless you're on a one-on-one date with a person, I don't really see the point of him bringing that up 20 years ago. Like, really?
that was the introductions, and he was just talking about his life and his background. So he
Okay,
he
okay.
brought it up, but he hasn't dwelled on that throughout the show. If you notice, he hasn't dwelled on that. He hasn't brought that back up. He just that was
Nor
the
nor should he. I feel a certain way about men who like use the whole late wife as their calling card. Okay, sir, get over that. Move forward, not move on, but move forward. There's a difference.
right, exactly. So, but yeah, that's interesting, and I think by her making it clear, Phil is her choice, and by him not making it clear, It's going to cause some friction moving forward because she's not feeling that at all. And it was clear in her body language she's not feeling that.
Right, right, right. Yeah, she wasn't. And then here's the thing. So I feel like Phil also is giving mixed messages to Shiloh. He leaned in, he went in for a kiss, and then I'm thinking, oh, like I started getting a little pitter patter because I really like. I have to say, okay, I'm prejudiced. I really like Phil and Shiloh together. I like them as a couple in my mind, right? I don't know them, but in my mind. But when he leaned in to give her the kiss and he just gave her a peck, like I was like, sir, you could have just kissed her on her cheek. You could have saved that lip to lip action and the possible exchange of germs, and you could have just kissed her on her forehead or her cheek because that wasn't about nothing.
Mm,
Nothing.
mm.
Where's
Well,
your raspberry? Where's your raspberry at? I want you to give Phil a raspberry.
no, I'm not giving Phil a raspberry.
Oh, okay, sir. Okay, I thought about that. Okay.
the, the,
Okay.
the, the raspberries are reserved for you only.
Oh, okay. Oh, I'm over here blushing, fanning. Ooh, got my index cards and I'm fanning.
Hey,
So,
he didn't hesitate to kiss Sydney though when we get there, but he didn't hesitate to kiss Sydney.
yeah, that's what I'm talking about. I mean, even without seeing the kiss later on, I'm just saying when a man kisses a woman on the lips and it's just a dry peck. Like,
Mhm.
sir, like y'all have not been married no 12, 20 years. So, let's not do that. Let's not do that.
Right.
Right.
And
Let's not.
again, that's his way of letting her know I'm not totally committing yet. So he's holding back a little in his
He's
body language, in his kisses,
Mhm.
in his language, everything. You can tell.
Right. He's definitely holding back. He is definitely holding back. Um, so anyway, so we move on to Aisha and Dante. They have a little meetup, right?
Uh-huh.
And from watching and looking at their body language and what they're saying to one another, of course, Aisha got a little carried away and wanted to kind of go back to the resort and talk about, the incident. I'll just call it the incident. And Dante said, no, 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 no. Come on back to the present, babe. We're
Mm.
talking about you and me now. And we're trying to build something. So I need you to be right here in the present moment. And I really like that. Dante, I'm going to say this. Dante, for me, was not on my list of, men that I thought would really be able to communicate well and really be there emotionally and to connect. But I'm seeing that Aisha is able to bring that out in him. And I think it's because she's so feminine. She's a very feminine woman, unlike a lot of the women this season who are, I don't know, they're really living in their masculine vibe, which is not really going to work well for them. It doesn't bode well for them in the dating world because if you're trying to date a man and you're masculine, I don't know what you expect him to be.
Yeah, and Aisha has expressed vulnerability during this season on a number of times, and the guys have comforted her when she expressed that vulnerability. You know, Aisha and Dante together, they're almost like they're one child short of the Brady Bunch. Okay, so he's bringing three, she's bringing two. The Brady Bunch, the old traditional television series, the mother brought three kids, the father brought three kids. They came together, got married, never had children of their own. And that kind of reminds me of this situation. Regardless of whether Dante has three kids by three different women, whatever, they're still his children. If he's still a loving and attentive father, that's very attractive to a woman. Okay. Aisha has her two children. Blended families are very difficult. I've been in that situation. Okay. But it can be done successfully. So I think those two, neither one want any more children. So I think that'll be the perfect fit more so than with Phil and Aisha. Because I think Aisha likes Phil too. I think Phil likes her too. But
Hmm.
I think her and Dante would be a better fit.
Exactly. That's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing that, the two of them together, they already have their children created and they've procreated and made this family. And now for them, they can focus on one another, they can focus on their careers, and they can focus on blending if they decide to be really super serious and maybe commit to one another. They can even work on blending their families together. But
Not
yeah, I'm
well,
really liking them because I like what she brings out in him and what he brings out in her.
Now the dichotomy there is that's a lot of money coming out your household. So you got to think about that. That's a lot of
Yes.
money coming out that household, you know. So, and then plus the two children that's going to be there because Aisha obviously has custody of her children. He doesn't. Okay. So that's a lot of money coming out the household. And that's something that Aisha will have to consider as well.
Right. Misha Allen. Hey, Misha. Hey, girl. Thank you for stopping in. Misha is a fellow YouTuber, and I just love her channel, by the way. But she says, yeah, she agrees with your point, Alex.
Yeah, about the
That's
money.
Yeah, that's a lot. I mean,
Mhm.
3 children and 3 in 3 different households, but that's something they can work on. That's something that they can work on. It's not insurmountable if they decide that they want to be together. It's not insurmountable. It's all a choice. You choose who you want to be with and you choose what are the conditions and what's negotiable and what's non-negotiable, right?
Right? Because the two top things that destroy any marriage or relationships, I mean, there are other things, but the two top ones, infidelity and money. Those are the two top that destroy most marriages or most committed relationships. When those are not together,
Mhm.
forget it. Forget it. You know. So they got to make sure that they got that right because all that love and walking on a cloud and dancing through the tulips and all that other kind of stuff, that's going to go
Oh,
away.
you don't sound very romantic, Alex. Come on
Listen,
now.
no, I'm a realist. That stuff going to go away quick, and then
Yeah.
real life will intervene. Life happens, and you have to have a plan for that. These people are old enough to know. Aisha's been married already. Dante got
Right.
3 baby mamas. They know about relationships. So
Yeah, they do know a thing or two about
yeah, they know a
relationships.
thing or two. And in Dante case, he know a thing or three. Okay.
Okay,
So they,
okay.
they can't
Right.
tiptoe. They can't tiptoe through the tulips, for 5 or 6 years. Real life will intervene, and they're gonna have a plan for that. See, marriage. I don't know if this is acceptable to say, but marriage is
Mm-mm.
a business arrangement.
Keep it PG-13. Keep it
I'm
PG-13,
PG
sir.
13. Marriage,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
yeah,
Marriage
marriage
is a
it's a
it is
business
a business.
arrangement.
It is. It's a contract. It's a contract honored by the state, and it is a business contract to a degree. You're right. I mean, it's about building heritage. It's about building legacy, right? So, yeah, that is true what you're saying. And if people enter it and they're not that part of it is that's not all marriage is, but that is a part of it, right?
Yes, it is.
Right.
Yes, it is. So
So we'll
it's, it,
we'll move
it's a,
we'll move on. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
you know what I'm saying? Just some other things to consider other than the initial love and the butterflies and all that kind of stuff. There's other things to consider down the road. So planning now for the inevitable will be the best way to go.
Right. Exactly. I'm wondering too. I'm looking here, Roz. How you doing there, Roz? Good to see you again. Um, just giving you a shout out. Who who will be in the friend zone by the
Yeah,
reunion?
she says they'll be in the friend zone by the time the reunion comes. Who's they?
I wonder. I guess if she's saying, is she saying, help me out here. I'm having a brain fart.
I want her. I want her to
Right,
tell
right,
me
right.
what she
Oh, but is
means.
she saying? I'm wondering if she's saying Aisha and Dante. That's what. Are you saying, Roz?
Well,
Chat again and tell us if you're talking about Aisha and Dante, and then tell us why you think they'll be in the friend zone by the reunion. You think it's moving so fast that they're just gonna burn out? Is that what you're thinking? I don't know.
right.
But we're gonna go ahead and move on to the next scene, which is Moomin and Frank on the National Mall. And I just have to say, I thought this was so visually beautiful and stunning. And having been to the National Mall with my family, with my 2 children, and it was a very emotional thing for me to be there. And I could literally in my bones, I could feel in my heart, I could see Dr. Martin Luther King, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, and I could hear his speech, "I have a dream." It was magical to me. It was just very magical. So but anyway, it was very visually stunning to see Moomin and Frank walking, and they're doing something that I very much enjoy when I'm with someone special, is holding hands. So they were holding hands and they were looking very at ease with one another. What did you think of them, Alex?
Well, it's interesting because Moomin is the polar opposite of Sydney,
Hmm.
polar opposites, and I think that's what Frank needs. I think Frank needs somebody that's polar opposite of what he's accustomed to. I keep saying this, and when I think,
Yeah.
and when I think of the beautiful backdrop of the Washington Monument and things of that nature, I think about Dr. King. Obviously, that's the first thing we all think of because it was such a historic moment.
Hmm.
But I also think about the Million Man March that Minister Louis Farrakhan.
Yes. Yes.
You know, so there's been so many great moments there for us as a people, that when you have that kind of backdrop, that it's a beautiful thing. And for him to take her there and to hold hands and then to feed her the icy and that kind of
That was
thing,
cute.
because this is not the first time they've shared food. There's been an episode where he actually put something in his mouth, kissed her, and she bit a piece of the food off. They've done that.
Mm. All right.
Okay. So this is not the first time. And I think that Sydney still has a hold on him because of this nightlife thing. But
Right.
I just think that Sydney will be better off probably leaning more towards Phil. I know you probably don't like Sydney and Phil, but again, Phil has to be with someone who's not going to, one, mother him, but who's
Hmm.
also open to have, children or multiple children. And I think Sydney is open to doing that. She needs something different. She don't need this nightlife stuff to continuing to, you know, pull her back into something. If she wants to be a wife and she wants to be a mother and kind of move in that direction, then she needs somebody that's not involved in that nightlife heavy. And that's Frank's business. Frank is a promoter and a clubber, and that's how he makes his money. So I don't think she makes her money that way, but Frank does. So he can't just pull out of that, kind of thing and not make no money. That's his thing. And you got to respect that.
Yeah, yeah. I'm with you. Now. I didn't see it at first when you first started saying it, like maybe 2, 3 weeks ago, I believe. When you first said to me on the show, you said that you really like Moomin for Frank, and I didn't see that. I was like, what? How? What? But I am beginning to become a believer that Frank and Mumin make more sense because Frank really does need to get out of what he's comfortable with. And I think that's what his ex-girlfriend Leah was trying to say when they had the date, meet the ex. I think that
Right,
was what he was trying to say.
right. Because if
She
you
was trying to
remember,
say.
she liked Moomin more than Sydney, the ex-girlfriend.
Hmm. Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. You're right, right. She did because I don't know for whatever reason with Sydney, and I'm not trying to question her character, but I don't know. For me, I kind of get the impression that she's not so into Frank like that because one thing that comes to mind, if she was so into him and all these years they say that they were in the nightlife together, why did neither of them ever date each other back then? Why now that you're on the show? That's kind of convenient, isn't it?
Because that's fun stuff. If they were going to hook up, they'd have hooked up then, but that just would have been fun stuff. But when you start talking about committing to someone, building a life with someone, well, you don't want that fun stuff like that as far as being out in the clubs and the bars and all that. That stuff has to be past you, out of your system. But when you're
Mhm.
in it, you want somebody in it to have fun with. So there's no conflicts. But if somebody's in a relationship and you a homebody and they're a clubber, that's not going to work. That's not going to work.
It's
And
not
I'm
gonna
not,
work.
yeah, and I'm not confident that they both can pull out of that simultaneously. Somebody gonna be drawn back to that life because, as I said, Frank makes his money doing that. So you
Hmm.
can't cut off his money. Okay, so I just think they both need something different, and I think Phil offers that for Sydney, and obviously Moomin offers that for Frank.
Good point. Good point. Yeah. I don't know sometimes if I trust Frank with Mumin's heart, but hopefully he's serious and he's not, he's not trying to take advantage of Mumin because she does seem to be very trusting with men. So, we'll
But
see.
she, but she really acted out with Walter. That whole thing didn't go over well with Walter and her and Sabrina. So
Mhm.
I think at this point, the women, there's nothing more powerful for a woman to feel than for a man to choose her. See, at this point, the women want to be chosen. And this is why Shiloh made the move to Phil, that she's choosing him. They want to be chosen now at this point. There's not a whole lot of people left. It's like
Right.
make a choice. Now, Walter
Right.
apparently has made his choice for Sydney. I mean, not for Sydney, for Sabrina. He's made his
Right.
choice. He's made her choice. So they're going to ride this thing out now, unless one of them get eliminated.
Right.
But you know, I can respect the fact that Naeem bowed out. We're not there yet, but I understand why he bowed out.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he is a true introvert and I noticed that early on. Um Naeem, he's a true introvert, and I think that women and people in general, men and women, when you're dating and you're out in the world, if you spot someone who's introverted, if you see that someone is introverted, then I think you might want to read up on it a little bit, just an idea or a suggestion, because I think that Naeem, just saying this, I think he'll make somebody a good mate, a good spouse, a good partner, but you have to know what to do with him. And then I guess the other thing, unfortunately, or fortunately for Naeem, is that you have to have a big butt too, a big booty, as you would say, right? You got to have girls, ladies, you got to have a BB. So, everybody isn't walking around with a big old dunk like that. So, hopefully, maybe he'll adjust a little bit his mindset that if he really wants to have a life partner, and here he is at the grand old age of 40, he might want to kind of adjust his mindset a little. And then people around him, they might want to, like that ex, for example, who seems to still have the hots for him. She may want to readjust herself, and she may want to just kind of bring it to him that she'd like to try again, because he's going to need somebody that really will adjust to him being an introvert. That's a whole thing in itself.
Yeah, and for some reason or another, I'm not even sure how it came about, but he had his sights set on Zadia for some reason. And as the season went on, you seen how nasty Zadia had gotten. You know, it's almost
Wait,
like
wait, wait,
okay,
wait, wait. And there's something wrong with my my headset over here. Did someone say something about Zadia being nasty? Not Zadia the body, not Zadia with the body, yaddy yaddy.
oh,
Is that Alex? Did
here we
somebody
go.
did somebody take your microphone?
Here we
No,
go.
somebody call for help. Somebody call for help because I think Alex has been removed and someone is taking his microphone. What's going on over there, Alex?
Now let me clarify. Okay.
Yes, please clarify.
Now let me just get this point out. Now Zadia, mean, nice, indifferent, or whatever, irrespective of all that, she'll still get it. So I'm not, I'm just making that very, very clear. She can still get it.
Just in case she happens to be on this broadcast and she's listening in, you want her
Mhm.
to know. Do you want to leave a number for her in the chat box, perhaps?
Yeah, I might do that, but
I think your IG contact is there, so she can always slide into your DMs.
yeah, she can slide into my DM. She keep sliding too. But
Condessa is laughing at the both of us. We're entertaining her. Okay.
because I like Zadia. I had a thing for Zadia, and then
Hmm.
she just started getting mean and nasty, you know. And I
Did,
think that was Camille's influence, obviously.
did
And
that affect you though? A grown woman at 35, although it may be some influence that came into play, and I mentioned that earlier with the toxicity comment. But I mean, does that affect you as a man? Seriously, now, all jokes aside, did that affect how you viewed Zadia, and if you would want to have a serious relationship with a woman like Zadia, if that's the way she's moving in the streets?
No, because you're not gonna be touching me. You're not gonna be putting your hands in me. You're not gonna be poking my nose. You're not gonna be attacking my manhood in public. See, I'm not going for none of that. And I know that society right now, as it may be, there's sort of a war on the straight male, which is it's not the forum for that, but there's definitely a war on the straight male, and people are just running rampant. And ordinarily, if the situation was reversed and Dante had pointed in her face and got in her face and carried on,
Mhm.
the
Mhm.
whole country be in an uproar right now.
People would
Okay,
be in an uproar. People
not
would be
not
in an uproar. And I want
yeah,
to say, I'm gonna let you finish talking because I got a rant to go on about Zadia and this whole thing. But go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah. So the whole country would be in an uproar if he did that to her. But the fact that she did it, people are upset that she did it, but not to the magnitude to where the situation was reversed. Now, I'm not going to have any woman, putting her hands on me. I'm just not going to tolerate that because
Absolutely. It's
it's,
not it's
it's,
not necessary. Not for
it's,
just a conversation. No.
there's one thing about me. I'm a man all day, every day. And you're not going to challenge my manhood. You're not going to put down my manhood. You're not going to feminize me. You're not doing none of that to me. Okay, so I would have got up and I would tell her, I would have shouted some expletives. Do not put your you know what in my face. Do not touch me. And I would have walked away from her and left her standing there. Period. Because if she's trying to get him to a point where he's gonna raise up and strike her, what do you need that kind of woman for? You don't need that. Is that what turns her on or something? To have this kind of physical conflict? I know she works out. I know she's a fitness
Hmm.
trainer and so forth, and this and that. But is that something that turns her on? She wants to fight and then make love.
That's interesting. That's an interesting thought.
I've known people like that. I have known people
Hmm.
like that in my life. They
Mm-hmm.
wanna argue, physically fight, carry on for hours, and then it makes their lovemaking more passionate when they make up. Now it sounds sickening, but there's a
To
lot of
me, it
people,
does. To me, it
right?
does.
There's a lot of people who do that.
Wow.
But what are your thoughts on her poking his nose and doing those things?
Okay, everybody, hold on to your seats. It's getting ready to go down. It's getting ready to go down.
Okay.
Um, I'm very offended by it. I'm very offended. I'm very angry about it. I'm angry for Dante, who I want to just say this. Dante, I give you credit. Some people may say you could have done this or you could have said that or you could have pushed back, but I like the way as a man you held your frame. There are a lot of things that you could have did, but what a lot of people don't ever take into consideration that until you're in that seat, until you're backed up against the wall with this man or this woman standing over you and doing these things and saying these things, that you as a man, knowing that you fully well could have defended yourself and could have hurt her, you held your frame as a man, allowed her to say what she had to say and walk away. You did not escalate that incident because that was an assault. And I don't care what anybody says. This is me talking as a woman who has been the survivor of abuse. That was a physical assault. And I'm very, very angry with Zadia. And unless she can come on the reunion and say that she honestly was acting, and I don't believe she was, I think she was walking in her truth. She's a mean, nasty, bitter woman. And she's very masculine. The way she sat at the table from the beginning before she escalated and got up, she was sitting gap leg. Like, I don't know where they do that at, but where I grew up, when you're wearing a dress, and even when I'm just wearing pants, there's a way that I like to sit as a lady, and that's just me. I'm sorry. I'm old fashioned. I'm old school all day long. Okay. But no, I'm very offended by Zadia. I'm very offended by the Camilles and the Zadias of the world that want to emasculate our beautiful, strong, positive Black men. But I'm very, very excited that Dante did not escalate that incident. And I applaud him for standing in his frame as a decent and good man. I do
Yeah.
that. That's what I have to say about that. I'm very offended. I'm sorry. I'm very offended. Very
And,
offended.
and what's interesting is she left and came back.
Yeah.
And
Well, the
that's even more
for,
dangerous than the initial disagreement. Because when she
yeah,
walked off, to turn around and come back, that means you started fuming in it.
yeah.
That means
She started raging.
your mind started to run amok, and you started raging that you had to go back and put your hands on this man.
Right.
See, that's
Exactly.
dangerous.
Alex, I got a question for you. So when Zadia walked away and she said all that she had to say and mocked him and mocked Aisha and mocked their relationship and m- Aisha's just a long talk. She talks really long and she's saying nothing and she's dumb and she's ignorant and she's stupid and she doesn't have the education. The implication, she didn't say all of this, but the implication was that she didn't have the education and the degrees that I have. Well, Zadia, dear, I don't care if you have a PhD, you and your good friend, Dr. Camille, guess what? You don't seem intelligent when you behave in this way in public or in private. This man did nothing to you to warrant you putting your hands on him, putting your finger on his nose, getting up on him as if you were a dude, as if you were a guy. You do that to the wrong guy on the wrong day in the wrong place with no cameras around. Well, we'll
Yeah,
be
it could be
saying
lights out.
goodbye. We'll be saying goodbye to you, ma'am. But I'm sorry, I lost my train. But here's what I wanted to ask you, Alex. Did you notice that when she walked away from him, okay, and she got, I think, over by maybe some elevators, did you notice that she was on the phone talking? That she was talking and talking and talking on that iPhone of hers. And to me, I'm thinking she's probably on the phone with guess who?
Yeah, yeah. Camille
Yep, exactly.
getting egged on. You go back there, you tell him, blah, 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 all this nonsense, getting egged on, getting more and more angry, more and more emotional. And let me tell you something. One of the problems we have in society today, we got two problems, two big problems. One, people don't know how to control their emotions. The jails are full of them, of people who could not control their emotions. That's number one. And number two is accountability. No one wants to,
Exactly.
no one wants to take accountability for their behavior. They want to do stuff and they hope you just forget it, or they had a bad moment, they had a bad day. Don't worry about it. It's not going to happen again. Blah blah. No, this is a character issue. This is an integrity issue. This is who you.
Yes.
This is who you are. And if you would do this in a public forum, no
Yes.
telling what you.
With cameras for the whole country, the whole world to see.
There's no telling what you would do behind closed doors. You'd be throwing
Ex-
dishes and stuff. Who knows?
exactly. Which is exactly why I can understand why Naeem, who's over here being Mr. Introvert, apparently thinks that he can handle Azadia. I don't think so. I don't really think so.
And this is why Camille and Cornelius will not last. Because at some point, I don't know when, but at some point he's going to grow a pair and he's going to say, enough is enough. I'm not going to be controlled. I'm not going to be ruled, overpowered, dominated. That stuff runs its course. He was not into her the way she was into him. He was conceding. He was not deciding. That's a difference.
Right.
If,
That's right.
if you notice, Camille was always the one saying, "Oh, we're gonna get married. Oh, I've made my decision." Cornelius always said, "Oh, we're going the right direction. I think we're probably going the right direction. We're not there yet." And he never definitively said what it was. Okay, he just bowed down because he didn't want the conflict. He didn't want the drama.
Mhm.
Okay, but she's talking about, yeah, now that they're leaving together, we're gonna find out maybe that they're married or whatever. Listen, you can find out whatever you want to find out. That is not that is not going to last. I'm telling you.
You don't think so?
Nope.
Oh boy, oh boy. Mm-mm-mm. Um, I want to move on to, we're going to move on to Sabrina and Walter's date.
Uh huh.
Uh, Walter was gentlemanly enough to bring some multicolored roses for beautiful Sabrina, who was looking absolutely stunning. To the point where Walter even said she looked like a modern day superhero.
Yeah. Yeah, she's looking like Storm from the X-Men.
Yes, yeah, she was. She looked great. She's a very tall, beautiful woman, just like really lovely, like fashion model beautiful. She's very lovely. Um, and she said, so she picked up from there. She used that moment to say, to explain to Walter how at 18 or 19 years old she left home, and so she decided to get a job dancing. And that before that, prior to her dancing, that she had always been teased as a child growing up. I would imagine that came from a lot of it from her being multiracial, biracial, being very tall and light
Right,
complexion. Maybe if she was in a mostly black community, I don't know, but but being biracial in any community can be uh, an issue.
right,
She was bullied and she was teased as a child, but when she came into her own as a 19-year-old woman and started dancing, that she began to feel empowered. And
right,
she was able to elevate herself to the place where she is now started working in fashion industry and is now a fashion designer. And in fact, on these YouTube streets, I will say that it's apparent that she was saying that all of her items, her fashion items, right now during the holiday season are already sold out. There were like women just begging to get a hold to some of her jewelry and the things that she creates on her own. And she's all sold out until next year. So I will also be supporting you, Sabrina. If you're out there, Sabrina Soul, I will be supporting you and I will be looking for some items to beautify and empower myself in 2022, okay? But
right. And
she does bring up it. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
no, no, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I just want to say to make this thing because we've
Mhm.
addressed this before, this
Okay.
biracial light skin, dark skin thing. And
Yes.
you know, light skinned people really get. I mean, we all get it for one way or another. But light skinned people, they really get it bad because in the black community, they're not dark enough. In the white community, they're not white enough. So they're almost like a hybrid in the middle and not accepted by either side, not fully. Okay, so
Right.
they're always
Right.
they're always they're always kind of in limbo. And
Mhm.
then you're beautiful, so they hate you for that. Then you tall, they hate you for that. High,
Yeah.
high yellow skinny heifer. They have all kind of names to call you. So the growing up could be very very rough. And when you start coming into your own, like she has apparently, and had to take it upon herself to do some things to support herself, to build her business, and was came out about it to Walter. She was vulnerable enough to let him know this is what I did. At this age, whatever the reasons were, building a business or whatever it is, and she didn't tell him this, or she didn't become vulnerable to him to have him use it against her later. That's the worst thing he could do is to use this against her at some point. I highly suggest he
Mhm.
don't do that. Okay, because he alluded to the gentleman when Tommy came later to discuss this with them. He alluded to her that he alluded to them that she did the stripping thing. I'm still trying to wrap my head around that. What are you trying to wrap your head around? The woman has a past, just like you have a past. What are you trying to wrap
Right.
your head around? She don't do it anymore. She did it.
Right, right. It's well behind her. I mean, she said she started at 18 or 19, 10 years into that. She'd still be under 30 and she's 45 now.
Right. So that's way past. Claudette is saying Phil and Sydney. I think everybody's starting to lean toward Phil and Sydney, but we'll
Mhm.
see. But
Right. Mhm.
um, but I just think I think Sabrina's a very fine, upstanding, elegant woman,
Mhm.
and she has yet to be sucked into any drama. And I hope she
Exactly.
don't. I hope she don't,
Exactly.
because when when Moomin came to the poolside to talk to Walter and to grill Walter, Sabrina laid in that pool and floated and didn't even look in their direction.
I told you I like her because as a woman, I don't get jealous. And I think sometimes I've actually run across other women who are jealous that I don't get jealous of them because I've worked with beautiful women my whole life and intelligent women, smart women, and it just doesn't matter to me what anyone has because I feel like if it's for me, then I shall have it. It doesn't matter about what you have. I need to focus on what I'm trying to do, right?
That's right. That's right.
So I like that about Sabrina. I see her as being that woman, and I think that comes probably from. I'm not sure if Sabrina is like myself, if she's an only child or not, or if she's maybe her mother's only child. I don't know, but I kind of get that feeling from her. So a lot of times we're very independent if we're brought up, people that are brought up as only children, even if they have siblings. Let's say the siblings are much older and are out the house by the time they're born, so they do in fact have siblings, but they grew up as an only child. You're very independent in that way. I don't need anybody to affirm me. I affirm myself every day. So that's
Right.
just what that is. And I don't get jealous. I don't care what you have. I don't care how tall you are or how bigger your booty is than mine. That's not my thing. That's not a big deal to me. It's really about what's on the inside, what's in my heart, and what's my real true intent. So I like that about Sabrina. I'm just gonna
Right.
say that. I really
Right.
do.
And just I want to circle back real quick because Claudette is saying Phil and Sydney, and I want to say this about that situation with Shiloh and Phil. Okay, Phil, if now she doesn't took her stake in Phil. If he doesn't reciprocate, she may be the next one going home because she made her choice now, but Phil is undecided. So since she's not looking at no other guys at this point, when it
Mhm.
comes to the next elimination of women, it may be her,
Now, who is that? You say
Shiloh.
who?
Shiloh.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, because if Phil is kissy 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 sucky face with Sydney, clearly he's not that into Shiloh anymore, right?
And remember at the fiasco at the table, the lunch table, lunch wherever they were, breakfast wherever.
Yeah,
Phil was the first one to come to Aisha's aid to calm her down.
he was. I noticed that. I was like, whoa. I do think that Phil is really very emotionally attracted to Aisha. And I think it makes perfect sense to me because honestly, out of this season's cast, I think that Aisha is one of the most likable women whose personality is really out there, and we get to see a lot of her. Now, I say that because I like Shiloh also, but we don't get to see a lot of Shiloh. We don't get to see her interacting with Phil or anybody else. Whereas with Aisha, Aisha has made an impression, it seems like, on many of the men. She's
Mhm.
made an impression, like with Phil, she was able to open up and talk about her issue with carrying, a baby to term and how that's affected her and how she's afraid and how she feels about maybe wanting to perhaps have more children, but because she's had physically such a hard time carrying children to term, she's afraid to try it again.
Right, right, and that's why I think if she get with Dante, she don't need to worry about that anymore. They need to just forget about
Yeah, yeah, we
that.
we get it. We get it.
Yeah,
They've got a whole basketball team already, right?
that's it. That's it. They got it. So, but I just think because Phil let it be known he has such great affinity for his mom,
Mhm.
that his mom raised him well, that he has a great affinity for women and their feelings. This is why
Yes.
this is why he ran to Aisha's aid. This is why he sits and talks, to Sydney and sits and talks to Shiloh the way he talks to Shiloh, because he's in tune with
Yeah.
women's feelings. and
Well,
he honestly cares. It's not like he's fronting.
he's
You
it's
see,
not like he's what? I'm sorry.
it's not like he's putting on a front. It's like he really cares about the women's feelings.
Yes, yes, I agree with you on that. I want to hold put a pin in that right there because we're getting ready to talk about him in a second. But I want to just circle back with Sabrina, and I wanted to say I didn't point out. I think that the thing about the date that I noticed with Sabrina and Walt, it was that toward the end, she was asking Walt about his lack of phone calls to her, and what that actually meant. And I wanted to know if you had any thoughts about that, Alex.
His lack of phone calls to who? Sabrina or Moomin?
So no, Sabrina was on the date with Walter, and she never brought up Moomin, which was,
Right,
again, I like her class because I'm not going to bring up the other woman, even if I know there is another woman. I'm not
right.
going to do it. But no, she's just talking about her and him, their relationship, and she asked him directly about his lack of phone calls. That there was a period where she hadn't heard from him, that he wasn't calling her. And I'm just asking you, as a man, what do you think about that? Do you have any feelings or any thoughts about that if you were in a similar situation, if you were seeing someone but yet you weren't calling them on a regular basis? What does that mean to
Well,
you?
well, in regards to the show, I think he was trying to divide time between her and Moomin, and he was like really liking Moomin, and he was spending time with her. They write songs together and all this kind of stuff. So he was trying to split time. Um, I can't say he wasn't into Sabrina because clearly he was, but you can't just go ghost on people. It's just to me that's disrespectful. You know, one
Hmm.
phone call a day. Just call, hey, just thinking about you. You don't have to have a long, drawn out conversation during the course of a day. Ju-
Okay.
Just let, just let somebody know you're thinking about them. Look forward to seeing you soon. Blah blah blah. Don't just go ghost.
Blah blah blah.
Whatever you want to say.
Right,
But
right, right. I get it.
just
Small
don't go
talk, just let them know you're thinking about them, basically,
right.
right?
Right. But when you just go ghost, it's very disrespectful. And Sabrina knows it's a competitive show and you're looking at other people and so forth. But she just wanted to hear from him. And I think he needs to say something to repair that situation. Something needs to be said on his behalf. I would
Mm.
expect that. If I was her, I would expect that from him. And I would address that with him.
I got a question for you. Okay, so as I'm listening to you in the back of my head, I'm really wanting to ask this question. And so I'm going to ask it to you because you're on the line right now. You're here with us. I wanted to know, so at what point, so you're talking about this daily contact that a man would have with a woman that he's interested in. What about in a situation like they're basically in where he's dating and he's seeing maybe multiple women? So, it's Moomin he's interested in, it's Sabrina he's interested in. So are you suggesting that he would talk to both of them daily? He would talk to the one he's most interested in daily? What exactly are you suggesting? I just want to be clear on this.
Is while he's compiling the data he needs to compile to make an informed decision, he needs to contact both daily and equally. What I'm saying
Mm.
is he should
Mm.
not he should not ghost anybody
Okay. All
because when
right.
you ghost someone, that lets them know I must have done something. You suddenly disappeared. What did I do? No one
Mhm.
knows. People are confused. You just went ghost on me. What did I do? You know.
Right.
So to me, that's kind of disrespectful to go ghost. So I think that if you have two or three women that you're interested in or whatever, it
Mhm.
doesn't take much. Like I said, you don't have to have these long drawn out conversations. You just a text in the morning. Hey, woke up thinking about you. Hope you have a beautiful day. Very simple stuff you can do to let that person know you are on my mind. I'm going through the process. Just be patient with me. But I do like you very, very much. That doesn't take much. It really doesn't.
Right. Right. Yeah, I think you're right. I agree with you. I think that you're absolutely right that if a fellow is interested, and that's what I've always looked at too, because over the last couple of years with all the advent of texting and all this stuff, and people sliding into folks' DMs. That's all interesting and well and good. But if you're interested in me, a fellow is interested in me, a man is interested in me, pick up the phone and call me. Pick up
Hmm.
the phone and check and see if I'm okay. How was my day? Or, tell me about your day. But if you're serious, and if not, then I just take it as it's just, a passing interest. You're probably hitting 10 women trying to play the odds game to see which one will fall for it and drop their panties the fastest. That's not going to be me. So, you can just move on, sir. But so I really agree with absolutely what you're saying, and it's nice to hear a man actually say that. It's important that if you're interested and you're seeing someone and you really are concerned and care about them and want to get to know them better, stay in touch with them, stay in communication with them, right?
Right, because I've been ghosted by women. All of a sudden you talking and you getting along and everything goes great, and then all of a sudden they're not returning your texts, they're not picking up the phone, they're not, and instead of telling you, listen, I think I found someone else I'm interested in, you know, you're a very nice guy, but just not for me. They just go ghost, you know,
Mm,
because we don't handle things in a mature fashion anymore.
we don't.
People
We don't.
people be in 3, 4, 5 year committed relationships and break up via text.
I was just thinking about that. I've heard that people nowadays are actually literally breaking up with people they've been in relationship with. I'm not talking about people they just met and they went on a couple of dates and they said, "Oh, well, you know what? I don't think this is going to work." That's one thing, but you've been in a relationship for years with the person and you break up with them by via text.
Right,
That's cold.
right.
That is truly very cold and very inhumane. Actually, I think it's kind of the way things are now with this being a technological age. People use that to hide behind their emotions and their feelings, and really being a human being, they just say, well, okay, it's easier, it's a cowardly way, but it's easier, right?
Definitely cowardly is preposterous, to me. But
Yeah.
more and more people are doing it. It's apparently it's accepted by many, not by me, but it's accepted by many.
Well, I don't
And
know if there's
so,
anything you can do about it, Alex. I think that's the thing. So some things you can accept, some things you accept, and some things you just tolerate, or they just happen, and you have no say so in it. It's done. It is what it is, right?
yeah, I mean, accepting as far as it becoming the norm. I can never accept that as becoming the norm
Oh,
because
okay,
I
okay.
just I just prefer to talk to a person, let them know what it is,
Mm-hmm.
where we stand or whatever, and then
Okay.
we can just agree to be friends or agree to go our separate ways, you know.
Okay.
But you don't just be disrespectful and
Yeah.
act like they never existed. You done shared time, meals, a bed, everything with this person. And
Right. That's true.
you wake up one day and send them a text. I don't want this anymore. Goodbye. What is that?
Wow, that's crazy. So, in relationship to Sydney and Phil's date, how are you about that? And I'm gonna go ahead and put my finger in both my ears in the headset because I know you're getting ready to talk about your girl Sydney. So, what did you think about the date, and what did you think about that dress that as they walked into the restaurant? I noticed they were in a very nice upscale restaurant. What did you think about Sydney's dress or her piece of material?
Well, you saying you don't want to hear what I gotta say? You're gonna put your fingers in your ears and
Yeah,
so
yeah,
forth.
just wave or something,
But
send a hand gesture or a text message and let me know that you finish, going on and on about Sydney, okay?
yeah, but as long as we talking about Sydney, I like to put my finger somewhere on her. But that's another story. Um,
PG-13, sir,
I
PG-13.
didn't say anything. I'm being nice. Praise the Lord. So all I'm saying is the date with Phil and Sydney to me, how would I say this? It almost seemed kind of forced to me. I'm not sure if you felt that. Um, it's like she's forcing the feeling. It's like she wants to feel something for him. That's why she wanted to go ahead and move forward with that kiss to see if she felt anything. Because I think she got her clubbing and party game hat on with Frank. So she's trying to see if she could feel something with Phil to see if she can start to move away from Frank a little bit. And I think that when Phil at the table with Tommy after the fact, after the date, and all the guys got together, when he mentioned he's starting to get a connection with Sydney, Frank gave him that little stare. If you
Hmm.
noticed that,
I did see that look.
yeah, Frank looked over there like, wait a minute now, you
Hmm.
know, kind of thing. Like his territory's being threatened.
Well,
Okay,
yeah, and he's
but
a guy. He's a guy, so
yeah,
he
he's a
probably
guy.
feels
Yeah.
territorial because before now there hadn't been any mention of Sydney by any of the guys in the room.
And that's why I think she's forcing um the issue now. I
Do
don't
you
think
think? Do you? Oh, I'm sorry. Do you think that Sydney? So, are you saying that you think that Sydney really wants Frank, but she's using Phil to make him jealous? What are you saying?
I'm saying right now it's not coming across as organic with Phil, but I think she's willing to put the effort in because
Hmm.
she either wants to or needs to get away from familiarity. Frank is familiarity. She needs something different to make her into a different woman, to make her into a wife material, mother
Hmm.
material, career oriented material, caring for a house material. She got to get away from that familiarity. I think she senses that in Phil, and although it seems a little forced, I think over time it can start to
Hmm.
come across organically.
Hmm. That's interesting. That's interesting.
What do you think about the date?
I'm sorry, I had to chuckle because I see Roz. She wants us to make it short about Sydney. Okay, but Roz, why is that? You don't like Sydney? You didn't like her dress, or because Alex is quite enamored with her, I have to say. But I like Sydney actually. I think she's like a breath of fresh air on the show because again, much like Sabrina, I can relate to her better than the other women who are being catty and being just being catty, being jealous, being envious. She seems to go after what she wants because she certainly was the one who invited Phil out on their previous date, which was their first date, right? Um, so I don't know. I like Sydney. I think that what was the question? What was the question, Alex?
No, you asked me what did I think about Phil and Sydney's date.
Yeah.
The energy. Was there energy or naturalness, air about them? Was there anything there? And I told
Well,
you what I
okay, yeah, okay. Now, thank you for putting me back on track. I think, yeah, you're right. I think that I did feel some on her side, on Sydney's side. I did feel some like it was a stretch, right? Like it was a stretch with Phil. Like he's the good guy. Like you and I talked about this before when I stated to you why so many women like Phil. Because Phil's the good guy. He's the safe choice. And I agree with you. Yes, I think that Sydney looks at him as the safe choice, but he's also a good choice, and especially for Sydney because he seems to be very enamored with her. So the question will be if she starts to feel enamored with him on an authentic, genuine level. And if not, I would say, if I'm not feeling it for a guy, I can't really fake it. I don't know if Sydney's that great of an actress. Maybe she is, but it certainly isn't worth a lifetime to fake anything with anybody, right?
right.
But
Right.
the kiss was very romantic. How about that kiss? I thought it was very romantic.
I like the fact that she touched his face. I think that's very intimate when a person kisses and
Yes,
touch his
yes.
face and do that whole thing and kind of hold the kiss too. You know, even they held the kiss, but it didn't get sloppy as far as with tongues and stuff like that. But they did hold the kiss.
They
So
did. They
yeah,
held that. Yeah,
yeah,
that's what Shiloh was looking for from Phil.
right,
After all these dates and all these weeks or whatever that we've been watching it, it may be a shorter time for them actually filming it, but that's what Shiloh was looking for. That's what I would be looking for from a man that's dating me if he's going to kiss me. If you're going to give me that brief of a peck, honey, just park that sucker right on the top of my forehead like you were my dad, and we can all be done with it, okay?
yeah. But I will say this though, I hear a lot of women nowadays be saying that those forehead kisses are the real deal. You know,
Yeah.
Yeah, they like those forehead kisses now. I hear a lot of women saying that. Now the women in the chat can tell me if I'm wrong or not, but the forehead kisses express some real intimacy. You know,
Yeah, yeah, a forehead kiss in the past for me, in relationship with men has meant that that man is probably has a certain amount of adoration for me, and he
right,
looks at me not only as a lover, but as someone that he treasures, and I'm very precious to him.
right.
So that's been my experience with you, right, with the kiss on the forehead. So maybe I should have said just kiss me on my cheek because that's a little more like a
Friend
little
zone.
less a little more yeah, there you go, friend zone. So you're right. I should have said cheek. You are
Right.
absolutely right. So
Yeah.
now the men are deliberating and what did you think about Frank? Did Frank come across as being like the hall room monitor all of a sudden when nephew Tommy said, tell me about what happened at the resort? What happened with Frank?
Well, I'm trying to recall what did he say because I'm
Oh,
still
oh okay.
yeah. What did he
Go ahead.
say? I'm still stuck on him mean mugging Phil. So let me know
No,
what he said.
okay, so Frank basically started regurgitating. He became, like I said, like I was saying, the hall room monitor. He told all the tea, everything that happened. He gave it blow by blow to nephew Tommy. He was like, "Okay," and Aisha said this, and then Camille said this, and then Zadia said that, and that's when everything blew up. And Aisha had to be walked out the room and removed from the dining room table. Frank gave all the tea. Frank was basically the tattletale. I'll just say it like that.
Yeah.
Frank was the tattletale.
Yeah, and that wouldn't have been me. I'm not sure why he chose to give it all up like that or whatever, but he chose to do it. But but
Oh, do you see what Felicia said about Frank?
oh goodness,
He became the girl in the room,
yeah.
the girl and the Gil. I'm with you, Felicia. I'm with you, girl.
If if Frank reminds her of Gil, that can't be good. That's not good.
No, no, not for us. Not in our group. It isn't.
Could you imagine Felicia if Frank had red bottom shoes on?
Those suckers would have been thrown all up in the air. Party like you just don't care. That would have been yeah. That would have been Frank. Yeah, Frank is a little flamboyant like that too, kind of like the way Gil is. So that's kind of an interesting. Felicia, I think you might be onto something. I think you might be onto something, girl.
Oh my goodness. Oh, but I don't know why he chose to do that. But this is when, just to kind of go over to Walter for a second. This is what I was saying earlier when Walter decided once again in this forum to bring up Sabrina stripping. It's like, why is it bothering you like that? You know what I
Mm,
mean? It's like, people in life do things. We deserve second chances or forgiveness. I always taught
right.
my children growing up. I said, you're gonna have to learn how to forgive people. And why, Danny? Why we got to learn that, Danny? I, s- I said because at some point in your life, you're gonna want to be forgiven for something, and you can't receive it if you can't give it. Okay, so everybody has done something. Everybody has a past. People do things they're not proud of all the time. They don't want to be held hostage by it. They
Right.
really don't.
That's right. That's true. That is true. Well, I got a theory. I've got two theories on Walter with that. Okay, and I'll just say this: if is it okay if I tell my theory on this?
Well, Felicia says Walter went low, but you can go ahead.
Yeah. Well, right. But okay. But I think there's two things about that. I think that one is I think that on the show. So this is just again my opinion. I think that when people make confessions on the show, okay, so they're already doing it. We recognize that they're doing it in front of a camera because we see it, right? And so for her to make that confession and to talk to him about that, that's something that she's not afraid to talk about. So if she's not afraid to talk about it to him, she knows it's going to be on national worldwide TV, right? So I don't think that for him to bring it to the deliberations, that's something that we see with pretty much every admission. Even like, for example, when Aisha confessed to Phil very personal information about having struggling with carrying children's to term, her babies to term, um that's something that he talked about in the deliberation room with the other men. You understand what I'm saying? So I don't think that actually Walter was trying to rat anybody out. I think this is something that she said publicly, for the world to say, to know, and she's not ashamed of it. So I look at that's one. But my other theory also about why Walt keeps saying, but that could be a red flag, is simply this. Walter, I peeped out, in my opinion, I see him as being, I see him as being for the streets. I don't see him as being a man of commitment. Certainly it doesn't take 15 years after your wife passes away to, you're young, you're in your 20s. It doesn't take you 15, 20 years to meet someone and fall in love. You know, you're an electrical engineer, you got all this going for you, you're nice looking, you're funny, you're fun to be around. So I think he's kind of for the streets. And so I think when he says that that's possibly a red flag, I feel like that's just his way, like a lot of men do. That's just his excuse to ease on out of it, to have one foot in and one foot out. Does that make sense?
It makes sense, but one foot out to who? Because he done lost Mumin. She's gone.
No, 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 no. What I'm saying is he doesn't want to be committed to anyone. He
Mhm.
doesn't want to be committed to anyone. So when a man doesn't want, or a woman, when you don't, but particularly a man, when you don't want to be committed, when he doesn't want to be committed, he'll say things like, well, I'm not really interested in a long-term relationship, or I'm not ready to settle down. Men will say that, get involved with women, and then that's their exit strategy. Okay, I've already planted that seed early, so now I'll activate it when it's necessary. When I've had all the fun that I want to have with her and now I'm bored, I'm going to say to her, well, you know what, that red flag that I told you about 6, 7 months ago, 2 years ago, whatever the time frame is, that's when he'll activate it. Walter is for the streets.
I agree with that. I agree with that. When I was younger, I did that in my younger life. You look for
You
reasons.
were a stripper in your younger life?
No, I was never a stripper. At least not
I'm
publicly.
just saying. Oh my. Oh my.
Not,
Clutches
not,
pearls. Clutches
not,
pearls.
not publicly, but you close the curtain, you might get a show. But but I've done that in my younger days. You look
Done
for a
what?
reason.
You've done
Well,
what in your younger days?
you look
Clarify.
for looking for a reason out. You love the woman's looks. You have fun with her, but
Mhm.
you don't really want to be with her like that. You know what I mean? So
Right.
you look for ways to get out, and that, like you said, once you had enough fun and so forth, at the appropriate time, you go, you know what, it's not working out, blah blah blah, and I'm going to move on. But you would think at this age, that's over and done with. Them days are long gone. There's an old saying, Muhammad Ali has, one of the great ones. He's my greatest hero of all time. But he
Mhm.
always say, if you're the same person at 50 that you were at 20, you just wasted 30 years of your life. You
Well,
know,
that's what I'm saying about Walter. I don't think he's ever changed his strategy. And a lot of men don't. Let's be real about this. That's why you see men out here 50, 60 years old that actually got their drawers showing to the public, right? And
right,
you see these guys. So, a lot of men, a lot of people, I'm going to say, I'm going to be cross board. A lot of people, the strategies that they used in their 20s and 30s, if they're not in tune, they never adjust their strategies and they never pivot, right?
right, right,
So I'm just
right.
calling a thing a thing.
Yeah, yeah. They love to walk around 50 years old, pants sagging, bebopping, can't complete a sentence, nothing. And you ask them, listen, you're 52 years old. Why you like this? I'm just keeping it real. This is real. This is me. I'm real. You like Chris Rock said, yeah, real dumb. You know. So
Right,
it's
right,
like you
right.
have to grow up at some point. I would hate to think that Walter is planting a seed to sabotage with Sabrina later. I don't think she deserves that, because you cannot, to me, hold a person's past against them and use it against them later. I just don't think you can do that. It's not fair. It's really not fair.
That's what I see it as. I don't know. When you think about what Walter said in his introduction, let's go back to the mixer when they all met each other, right, on Ready to Love. He said basically that uh it took a lot of pressure for him to even marry the so-called love of his life, right?
Mm-hmm.
They had been together in a relationship for, like, I don't know, I think he said like maybe 9 years. Okay. I don't have those notes right in front of me, but I think he said something like 9 years. And yes, she was in school getting her degree. She was becoming a doctor. Um, but it took that time for him to decide to marry her. So that's why I say he's kind of for the streets. And, I don't know what his childhood was like. I think he also talked a little bit about on the introductory show about his childhood. So sometimes people who have never seen a healthy mother father relationship in the home, they've never seen a stepfather mother relationship in the home that was healthy. Sometimes people struggle with what is that like to love a woman and love only one woman, because as a friend once told me, growing up all I saw was men. How many women could this man bed? So if that's what you see, then that's kind of the mindset you have, and without questioning it, that's kind of what you believe, is what I think, until you
Yeah.
find out differently and you decide to go a different direction.
Right. Well, for me, at some point, just have to grow up, and the old adage will always apply: treat people the way you want to be treated. If you don't want to be treated like this, if you don't want to break someone breaking up with you via text, then you don't do that.
Right.
If you don't want to be ghosted, then you don't ghost people.
Right. Or if you're not, or to what I'm saying about Walter, and it may or may not be true. I'm just speculating, okay? I'm just speculating and what I've seen in my own personal experience. And if you're not serious about being serious in a relationship, if you simply want to date for companionship, and it's just kind of, okay, I'm dating for companionship. I don't think I'll ever remarry. I had that one love of my life, and that's it. Then just say so. Just
Hmm.
say so.
Hmm.
Cause you guys are big and grown. He's 45 and I think she's 45. So ain't nothing like you guys are still wet behind the ear. You guys are very, very grown. So Walt, if that's you and you're for the streets like I suspect you are, be a gentleman, be a man of integrity, and just say so. Because I think that Sabrina will appreciate that much more than you leading her on and acting like you're looking for something real and serious, but you're really not. Okay.
Right. Okay.
So okay, so what did you think about last thing on the men's deliberation? What did you think about when it came down to the conversation? So the men are talking about Zadia, or more specifically, Dante is talking about his date with Zadia and what she did to him, and we won't rehash that again. I think I've got enough emotion tied up into that, and it's kind of triggering for me. But anyway, um, Naeem, when nephew Tommy asked him, "Well, what did you think of that? And is that a red flag or something to that nature?" Naeem kind of was like, "Well, no, she doesn't treat me like that."
Mhm. Well, yeah, she don't treat me like that yet, but apparently she has a trigger, and when she gets triggered, she can go from 0 to 100. You know what I mean? So you got to look at that and not say, see, we always do that. We go, well, she did that with him. She wouldn't do that with me, or he treated her like that, but he wouldn't treat me like. No, they are who they are. You know what I mean? Stop thinking you're the
Mhm.
special one. You're not the special one. This person is who they are, and if given a crisis situation, or their emotions are at an all-time high, or whatever the case may be, they'll do the same thing to the other person that they did to you. They just got to be triggered. It's as simple as that. I've seen the behaviors too many times. People, well, I'm not like that. I would never get triggered and go off the deep end, and then they calm down, and you go, well, I thought you would never do. I was just angry. I was just mad. Please forgive me. and they gotta say sorry 100 times in
Right.
in the course of a 2 month period because they can't control their emotions. And if
That's
you
Zadia. That's what I see in her. I don't see her being having the ability to control her emotions because like I said again, she was on national TV. If anytime you want to be cool, even if I did that in my personal life and I decided and made the choice to come on this show to be on national worldwide TV, why would I be acting like this on the screen? I mean, I would be embarrassed. I would be so embarrassed. But here's my thing with Zadia too, with her behavior and her temperament, right? Not only if she doesn't go off on Naeem at some point, if they're together, the other thing that he should be even more concerned about, what is she going to be like when they're out at the bar or a restaurant or in public anywhere? What if the server looks over at him and gives him the eye and winks at him, or toots her behind up or whatever, because things like this happen every day where people will see a man, and I've been out with men and clearly we're together and other women have just openly flirted. I didn't get excited. I didn't jump up in their face and start wagging my finger at their nose and cursing them out, and you mf and blah 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 blah. So the thing that to me Naeem or any man has to be worried about with Zadia, is she gonna steal your peace, number one? And number two, is she gonna keep you fighting for her honor?
yeah, and you don't need that because no man can beat everybody in the world. Who,
And you
who
certainly can't beat those bullets either.
can't beat them bullets either. You're not bulletproof. So
No.
I don't want anybody who I have to worry about that every time we're out, are they going to put me in a precarious situation? Because
Right.
if I have to think about that before I leave the house, guess what? I'm not going out with you. You know,
Right.
fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. If you do this once or twice to me in public, that's it. We're not going out anymore like that. Because I can't have myself in that kind of condition. Because you don't care. What you're doing is you're saying, I don't care if you get shot or stabbed or whatever, because you're going to defend my honor, whether I'm wrong or right. So she can know she wrong as two left shoes, get this man hurt or killed, but feel good because her honor was protected. Really? I don't need that and don't want it.
Exactly. I agree with you. I've said this a thousand times before. I think that any wise, good man does not want a woman that he has to always be concerned about, will she keep him in trouble and keep him fighting? And with a woman like Zadia, whose temperament is up, down, over here, over there, and so very masculine, he's gonna stay in trouble because she's gonna stay in trouble.
Yeah.
So I don't really see the connection. And also this, I think the other thing that nephew Tommy pointed out, and I hadn't really even thought of it like this, the fact that Zadia was so incensed and so enraged showed that she actually had more feeling for Dante, and that Dante was more likely her number one, but maybe she didn't take him as seriously because of the issue and the concerns about, the three babies' mothers. Maybe she didn't take him as seriously, but she clearly had a lot of strong feeling for him. Either that, or either she has a tremendously huge ego and is very arrogant and saw that him being with Aisha over her was like an embarrassment to her ego. So what do you
Yeah.
think?
Well, because for some reason, what he displayed to Aisha, she wanted it to be displayed to her. She wanted to feel defended and protected and so forth.
Oh,
But he ran and gave that energy to Aisha. And
okay.
Zadia was very offended by that. You didn't come
Mm,
to my aid. You didn't come to see if I was okay, so forth and so on. So and that just continued on because then at the table when the women had their round table, Aisha was like, "Oh well, Dante gave me a massage and we had our moment," and Zadia's face was all screwed up at that point, you know.
right.
So it's like I've lost him. So and this episode was very interesting to where we lost 4 people in one episode. I don't know if that's ever happened or not because
Wow.
we lost Cornelius and Camille in the beginning, and then we lost Zadia and Naeem at the end. That's
That's
4 people.
right. That's
That's
right.
four. Yeah, that's four
Because
people.
right, that's right. Because Naeem decided to do the self-elimination at the very last scene of the show of this episode. He decided to self-eliminate. Do you think that was the best thing for him to do? For
Yeah,
him
he
to
wasn't connected.
self-eliminate?
He wasn't connected with anybody else, and that's why I say if you're not connected with anybody else, that's why we knew that if Cornelius go, Camille was going, and vice versa. Although I'm not totally convinced that if Camille got voted off, Cornelius would have went with her. I'm not convinced of that. I
Wait a
was
minute.
convinced.
Say
I
say
was.
that again. Say that again. You know, I'm a little slow. Say that again, please.
I'm not totally convinced that if Camille got voted off, that Cornelius would have went with her the way she went with him when he got voted off.
Oh, good point.
You know what
Excellent
I'm saying?
point. Guys, you're out there in the chat. Come on, throw something up real quick. Y for yes and N for no. Do you think that if Camille had been eliminated instead of Cornelius, would Cornelius have self-eliminated? Y for yes if you think he would have self-eliminated, and N for no, or you can just spell out no, okay? Let
I
me
think
know. Let me know what you guys are thinking out there. Felicia.
me personally, I
Mhm.
felt like he would have felt a sense of relief if she got voted off.
Yes, I think so too. I think he would have stayed, and maybe he could have explored with Zadia.
Probably could have. And that little brown girl club would have been over with.
Oh,
You know?
okay. We're getting some responses. Claudette says no. N for no. He would not have left.
Yeah.
Felicia says no effing way. Felicia, I love the way you express yourself. No effing way, Felicia says. And over here with Condessa says no, he would not have.
Right. Right. That's
Oh,
it.
so you're onto something, Alex. That's a
Hmm.
very good observation. That had it been reversed and had it been the women's week to be eliminated, and had Bill went home, Cornelius probably would have stayed.
Probably would have stayed. I think he would have stayed. You know.
Mm.
And yeah, because all the signs were there. It's like it was almost like Cornelius been going through the whole season with like, someone please save me, someone help me.
I've
You know,
been waiting for him to blink 3 times or 2 times.
I,
I've been waiting for him. Somebody said it was like he was in a scene from in the movie, what is it, Get Out?
yeah,
Like he was trapped in Get Out.
right. You know, he just glassy eyed, wouldn't blink, tears running down his face.
And when Camille gave him that necklace, that was an engagement ring, right?
Oh, my
Okay, guys,
oh,
just okay, comment on this. Okay, again, Y for yes or N for no. The at the resort when Camille gave Cornelius that necklace to wear, do you guys think that was an engagement ring? Y for yes and N for no, please. Y for yes and N for no. Yeah.
whatever it was, he didn't open it too fast. He wasn't too eager to open it. I'll tell you that. Go back and look at it.
No, you're right. You're right. Felicia's laughing. Or I'm sorry, Claudette is laughing. Oh my goodness. Wait a minute. What is this, Felicia? What is this Felicia saying? Claudette says yes. And then
Right.
wait a minute. Felicia says handcuffs. Those were like handcuffs.
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh, that's
Exactly.
hilarious. Oh, you think so too, huh?
Yeah, handcuffs and cyanide. That's what it was.
Cyanide. Oh wow, like Jim Jones. Okay.
Exactly.
If if we're not gonna make it out of here together, we're just not gonna make it out of here at all.
at all, at all. So,
Oh,
but
oh
I,
my goodness.
but I,
You have kept me on longer than I planned on staying on, Alex W. Leath.
yeah, we're having
um,
fun. Just,
real real quick, real quick
if
as we go ahead. I'm sorry.
I just
Go ahead.
want to say, if everybody listening, hit the like button, subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Um,
Yes.
you know,
Tell them about it. Tell them about it,
yeah,
Alex.
hit that like button because that helps with the algorithms and it attracts more people to the channel, so that helps a great deal.
Right. Feel free to share it with your friends that are ready to love fans and watch it. And if they haven't, give them a chance. Let them share this with them, and maybe this will say, "Hey, that sounds interesting. I'm gonna check that show out on Friday, on OWN."
Exactly. So, did you want to cover anything else, or we went way over than we usually do?
Yeah, well, I just want to ask you just one last question, and we'll wrap it up. I just wanted to ask. Okay, so we always end with predictions for the next week. So I
Mm.
don't know if they can even have an elimination. Who's left to eliminate? You said possibly Shiloh, right?
I'm looking at Shiloh because she played her hand. She didn't bluff. See, Phil bluffing. Phil bluffed her. It's like playing poker.
Right,
So,
right. He's staying neutral enough that she
right,
doesn't really know which way he's leaning. Right.
right. But
Someone
she went all the way in.
Right, she sure did, which I don't think she should have done. Someone compared this year Phil's this season to last season with Jason. So remember when Kyra was trying to get Jason to commit to her last season?
Well, quite frankly,
Jason,
I was off and on with last season. I didn't really get the full gist of it.
okay, well, I'm just gonna say this for the viewers that are ardent fans. So last season with Jason and Kyra, he was torn between two women, Kyra and Liz. Well, Jason, he would not commit to Kyra, even though everyone could see that was clearly where he was leaning. But Kyra played it like this, so Kyra wasn't committing to him. So they were at a standoff, right? Liz,
Hmm.
who only had one option, which was Jason, she was fully in just the way Shiloh is. And so in the end, Jason ended up committing to Liz. Okay. So that's how that went. So yeah, I see that you're right. Phil is clearly playing the game and he's staying in it. Whereas oh, wait a minute. Oh, wait a minute. Someone says that Mumi, and that's what I was about to say. I was about to bring her up to you because by the way she kind of fronted Walter off. And I don't think that was a good idea with Mumin. Mumin could possibly be in the bottom two as well as Shiloh. Shiloh and Mumin. That's my
Well,
prediction.
yeah, because right now she right now Frank is her last option. Frank is her ace in the hole. But
Mhm.
meanwhile, Frank has her and Sydney he's looking at. So anybody I think who has sold out on one person
Yeah.
now leaves himself very vulnerable to be eliminated. Me personally, I think it's going to be Shiloh because that's what she did to Tyrone. Tyrone was adamant. Shiloh is the one. That's my wife. She like,
Mhm.
he sold out on me. I still want to look. His behind went home.
Talking about Tyrone.
Right. Exactly.
Someone said, Claudette said, don't call Tyrone.
Right. And you know what I say to that? I say,
What?
call him and
Oh
tell
boy.
him. Don't call him. Don't call him. He ain't coming back.
No,
So
no, I think they let it. Well, you know what? That's funny now that you mention it because at this point, Shiloh could use a Tyrone, right?
probably
She could
crazy
use
eyes, crazy eyes and all.
okay. I'm trying not to laugh. I'm trying not to laugh. Well, all right. Alex, would you like to tell our viewers how they could get in touch with you? Your IG handle or anything like that?
Yeah, IG handle AW Leath on Instagram, Facebook, Alex W Leath on Facebook. Go to Amazon Movies, Amazon Prime. Look for my film Cycle, CYCLE. a movie about domestic violence. You know, very powerful film. We got into a little bit to that tonight with Aubery. She's very animated, talking about Zadia being abusive to Dante, and it really struck a nerve with her. So this movie is very powerful. It will strike a nerve with you as well. So that's on Amazon, Amazon Prime. You can watch it for free on Prime. If you don't have Prime, there's a small fee to watch the film, but it's well worth it.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm trying to get that all up. Yeah, definitely. I would say, and I watched the movie back in October. That movie is a 10 out of 10. Excellent movie. If you've been a victim, a survivor, if you know someone, if you've been the abuser, watch the film. Watch the film. And it's called Cycle, and that is out on Prime Video. Alex W. Leath is IG handle AW Leath 67, and the film Cycles on Prime. I'm actually Aubery, and guys, thank you so much for coming. You could be anywhere in the world, and you chose my channel to come to and to be part of our live. I thank you, Felicia. I thank you, Condessa, Roz. The young lady that was on here, all of you guys. I just thank you, Claudette. I thank you all. I ask you to rock with me and continue to I've got more stuff coming out. We're going to be doing a whole bunch of new shows next year in the new season. So like the video, comment below, subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to go for 100 guys before the end of the year. Help me, help your girl out. Okay, love you all. Bye now. We're out.
Bye bye. Love you.